Dear Notion, I think we have to break up. I've been thinking about this for a very long while, and we had wonderful times. You're so useful, you have so many functions, but...
Just tell me who it is. I knew it.
Can you relate to this? So when I got into productivity and was discovering like online tools that could help me to be more productive, I was kind of obsessed and so fascinated to like kind of build the perfect productivity system that supports me in every possible way in my life. And I was watching all these YouTubers building those crazy systems like the second brain, like having thousands of apps that will help me with every single aspect of my life. But it just didn't work. And don't get me wrong, I love Notion. I love Todoist and other apps out there that help me with my productivity, but they just didn't feel natural because I wanted a system that is kind of easy, intuitive, always reliable, and that is actually as useful as a good old piece of paper. And I think I have found one. It is easy, it is natural, it is no additional hassle to think about every day, and it just works with me and my lifestyle. In one of my favorite books called Digital Minimalism, the author and productivity expert Cal Newport actually warns that digital clutter in the form of unnecessary apps, notifications and information overload diminishes our ability to focus and actually get stuff done. And he promotes a philosophy that I like to follow myself called digital minimalism. Less is often more, and if you want to organize your life, find a system that supports you and not a system that you have to support. So some years ago, I might have thought that this is some form of digital blasphemy, but hear me out. The basis for my system is actually a good old Notes app. So my example is Google Keep, but you could also of course use just Apple Notes or Samsung Notes. I know, but hear me out. So when I tried to build the perfect digital productivity system, I always stumbled upon two major problems. It was either too complicated in the first place, or I couldn't access it immediately when I needed it the most. For example, don't get me wrong, I love Notion. It's a really great tool, but it always had like, for example, one problem for me, that it would sometimes just take a little bit too long to load when I actually needed it the most. I mean, like, it's not like an old computer with Windows XP where it takes like 10 minutes just to boot, but it was always just a little bit too much when I actually needed it, especially when I had a bad or no internet connection at all. So forms like this and systems like this simply were not that reliable for me when I needed instant access. When I have a quick idea, I need to access it immediately, otherwise it simply doesn't work for me. This also actually includes how easy it is to actually use the system. So I tried basically every productivity and organization app out there in the App Store and on the computer, but I somehow found that I tried Notion, I tried Habitica, I tried Todoist, I tried whatnot and everything, but I somehow found that these things were not as natural as just having, for example, a good old piece of paper. And there was something that was always holding me back when it came to these systems. The answer? A good old Notes app. Pretty much as close as it gets to a real piece of paper. It is reliable, you can access it in split seconds, it is available with bad or even with no internet at all, and it immediately synchronizes between all devices of yours. Which just beats other systems in my opinion for me. But I know what you're probably thinking. Google Keep, Apple Notes, Samsung Notes, all of these apps are probably way too simple. And yes, that is true to some extent, but as the saying goes, never change your running system. And this system runs and runs and runs for me. And I think sometimes some restrictions actually make me a bit more creative as well. So here are some examples how I use my Notes app, Google Keep in my case, to organize my life. So I will write whole documents in it, for example, to begin with, like scripts for my YouTube videos, stuff for university, other important documents. I replaced habit trackers as well, as I will just create a note, will do a to-do list and put it on my home screen to actually see every day which habits I actually want to do and then just see them every day and tick them off. Same goes for to-do lists. I will do basically any list out there in the Notes app because I do like everyday to-do lists, what I want to get done. I I do like bigger action plans, what I want to tackle this month as a whole, what I need to prepare when I go to a trip to another country, and so on. I even track my expenses and do my budgeting in the Notes app, because this is like the most practical thing, because you open it immediately. When I stand at the checkout in the store, I want to track my expense immediately, otherwise I will forget about it and just will not write it down and get track of all my expenses. But this way is just super practical because it's fast, quick and easy. And it being quick is really an important aspect, because when I track languages or how much I study languages as well, I will also track this in the Notes app, as when I sometimes, for example, read something, when I listen to something, or when I even speak, I will just write down how many words I read, how many minutes I watched, or how many minutes I actually spoke, to really be accurate and keep track of how much I actually studied the language. And as I said, I plan whole YouTube videos in the Notes app as well, as there are some basic document processing features, as making a bold, italic, doing headings and bullet points, etc. I will write the script, I will do with a drawing feature a quick sketch what the thumbnail should actually look like, and so on. It is of course ridiculously simple, I can't say anything against that, but these restrictions somehow lead to more creativity on my side, and it just works really great for me. So if you already use Google Keep, then the next point really much integrates well with this, because it's about my calendar, and in this case the Google Calendar app, which I think is really great. I don't think I'll have to really much explain what a calendar does. It just works for me actually. And Google Calendar is somehow like my personal assistant that should or is supposed to remind me of basically everything that's going on in my life, that has happened in the past, that is up to date, and it will happen in the future. And one quote I somewhere read on the internet was once that your brain is designed to come up with ideas and things, but not to actually hold on to them. And I think it's just so freeing to know that if you put anything in your calendar, you basically will never forget anything. 100% of events and dates and things I have to do that I actually miss are things that I forgot to put into my calendar. So I really much try to put everything in there. I'm also using it as some form of a multi-purpose reminder and to-do list in some extent. Because when I'm in Google Keep, for example, I can mark certain notes as reminders, and my notes will automatically appear in the Google Calendar, but I can just, of course, also just make a normal Google Calendar entry to get reminded about things. For example, when I know now that I have a dentist appointment in half a year from now, then in half a year from now, I will automatically in the morning be reminded like, hey, you gotta check those teeth, and it will remind me of the appointment that I have, which is, as I said, somehow like a personal assistant in that case. Because no matter what I'm doing, I just get a push notification and get reminded about whatever I have to do that day. So one great additional thing I actually oftentimes do is that I will actually put the to-do list that I did in, for example, the Notes app into my calendar, and will actually block out the times when I actually intend to do things. Because it is so easy to sometimes in the evening prior to the day, I actually sit there, write your to-do list and actually think, yeah, like I'm gonna study for 20 hours, then I'm gonna work for 15 hours, then I'm gonna like prepare a meal for 5 hours and spend time with others for 8 hours, but the day has only 24 hours. And when you actually create your to-do list in your calendar and really block out when and where and how and before and after what you're actually going to do the to-dos, you have a really better sense of time and can really make a more efficient and realistic plan that will actually oftentimes make me way more productive and have a better feeling about my daily schedule as well. Nothing fancy, just a digital calendar, but it works really great like a charm. I think this is one of the most controversial points, but I still want to share it with you. So in general, for example, this YouTube channel, I have to deal with lots of media files, like photos, like videos, like text files, when I script my videos, when I shoot the videos, when I do the thumbnails, and I often need to access files quickly in different locations on different devices. And I know the best thing to actually store files, etc., is actually a really solid, good online cloud and a solid drive as well. And these things I do own as well for things that I put in folders and that I want to access in the future. But for all the stuff that I need to access on a regular basis, for things that I really need to access quickly, I often use my Messenger, and it works like a charm. And that is why I somehow started to just start messaging myself stuff all the time. It's not that great for data security, I know. I mainly only do this with like things like, for example, for this YouTube channel, when I have a thumbnail, when I shoot like a video, when I should have to take pictures, etc., and have to have it accessible on all devices. But It is nowadays just so intuitive to store something in a chat with someone, because this is what I always do with other people as well. I have like this huge 5-year-long entry of all the things that we shared across the past couple of years, and it is just normal to like look up files in a chat, and you somehow have a feeling for when you send it to someone, and you can also like type it in and search for a keyword and it will pop up. Telegram and Signal, for example, which is like the way better messaging app in my opinion, actually have the function to actually send stuff to yourself, which is like called the My Files section in the app. This is just like a super practical way of managing your files when you're on the go. And this might look weird, but it's like really quick, it's really easy, it's really intuitive, and it just works like a charm for me actually. And I can to access files when I need them, and even send others those files in a matter of seconds. Of course, this system is not perfect. It is really ridiculously simple, but as I said, it works great, it works like a charm, and that is the most important thing. Never change a running system. And I will actually at times also use other services, like for example Notion or Habitica. But these things are things I do not do on a daily basis. And the things that I do on a daily basis have to be quick, efficient, and easy. And this is what I hopefully wanted to show you guys and inspire you to actually develop your own simple digital system as well. And a key tenet of digital minimalism that I actually quoted earlier is actually to really be mindful of your screen time and how often you actually scroll and use your phone. And if you want to actually reduce your screen time, then I made this video right here where I talk about the 6 apps that almost automatically made me use my phone less without doing actually much. And if this sounds interesting to you, make sure to watch this video. Besides that, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.